Lights out. And now the movies, folks.
Hello everybody, I'm Colin Baker, the Sixth Doctor, and you are so lucky, because you are watching the Omega Files, and I'm in it at the moment, but the next bit isn't me, it's something even better.
Okay, good evening folks, welcome to the Omega Files. I'm your host, Dr. Freedom, and tonight we're going to discuss the 1981 movie, Clash of the Titans. Let's go around, meet the cast, get their hi, the hello there's. Let's start with Harry.
Greetings and salutations, one and all.
William.
Hey now.
BJ.
What's up?
Tim, the Beefhead.
Good evening. It's good to be with you all again.
And joining us here, Johnny Sexy Blues.
How's everybody doing?
Okay, 1981 Clash of the Titans. This was Ray Harryhausen's last, motion picture before he decided to hang it up. And my gosh, I was sitting there reading about this morning. They had more Academy Awards and Commanders and Orders in the British Empire in one room, just on the set of this movie, than you can possibly believe. It was just amazing when I was sitting there reading through all these names. Maggie Smith, Burgess Meredith. It was a hell of a cast. All right, let's get opening thoughts from everyone. Let's start with Harry.
This was a great movie. You had a lot of names in this movie, and for a change, people put their egos aside to get the movie done. Just a fantastic movie overall. I saw it years ago on Showtime, and it stood out then, and it still stands out today.
Okay, Johnny Blues.
This is a movie I remember catching when I was really young, and it was one of those things kind of like Doctor Who where it made an impression on me early on in life, but I ended up catching up with it again in my teens, and it's something that was synonymous with my interest in history and mythology and just the look of the entire film. It's kind of what I call back to whenever I'm reading about different mythologies set within that same kind of time frame and everything like that. The look of the film just really made an impression on me, and it's one of my favorites.
Okay, Beefhead.
Yeah, echoing what the guys have already said, it's a hell of a cast. If you look through the names on it, it does read like a who's who of British theatre, British cinema, because of, with certain exceptions like Burgess Meredith, primarily it is a lot of English people. Again, like Johnny said, it was a film I watched as a kid. I watched it God knows how many times. And it's one of those rare films I think that you could still watch now, and it's suitable from ages 8 through to 80. It is a fantastic film, and it inspires a wanting to learn more about the mythology and the history surrounding it. So yeah, great movie.
Okay, BJ, opening thoughts.
Well, to be honest, when I watched this film today, it was the second time I actually watched the film. It's been a long while since I watched it again. And I think my opinion's the same as the last time I've watched this since I watched it for the first time long ago, which is it's an okay film. I would say that it's not really I would say that I didn't really like it that much. I mean, it was good, but not really a film that I enjoyed. Really good, really that much.
I found that some scenes to be dragged out and a little bit slow at some points. The special effects I found cheesy, but of course that's for like obvious reasons. It was in the 80s. Story was good. I liked the story of it. And the best part of it, I think, of it was the owl. I think the owl was my favorite part of the film.
Okay.
So, yeah, those are my thoughts of it on it.
All right, William.
I was very fortunate to see it when it came out in the movie theaters back in '81. This is Ray Harryhausen's final movie. He did produce the movie. He did not co-write it. It was written by Beverly Cross. He didn't due to time restraint. All the stop motion was not done by him. He had to have some help to do it, but he did do the effects for Medusa, and the Kraken. He did that by himself. So that's what he wanted. He felt that the Medusa was one of his best achievements that he ever did. I know because of movies like Star Wars and other stuff like that the time was changing of special effects. That's why Mr. Harryhausen retired. But in my humble opinion, I could keep watching this movie over and over again because this is the way I grew up watching movies with that kind of special effects. The script, yeah, maybe here and there might be a little slow, but it was a great movie plot, simple plot. You had a hero who was the son of Zeus, and he achieved due to the interference of another god. You know, he was able to achieve his weapons and all that, and get the woman to fall for him. So I know this stands out to me as as one of the top Harryhausen movies of all that he did.
Oh, okay. All right, let's get around to favorite parts. Let's start with Harry. What was your favorite parts of this movie?
I'd say there's no one real favorite part. It was just such a great movie overall. I really couldn't pick out a favorite. If I did have to say there was a favorite, it would have been the look that Hephaestus gave when he was told, "You're going to make a metal version of a famous owl."
Yeah, Festus, played by Pat Roach. Very familiar name. He was all actor, wrestler. He had been around quite a bit. All righty. Johnny Blues, what is your favorite parts of this movie?
Definitely the Medusa battle. I did a video on my channel a while back for my Wicked Flicks series talking about this film. And I had just newly watched it at that time and came off playing whatever the latest Metal Gear Solid video game was. And I remember thinking how that scene almost played out like a boss fight in a video game where there's strategy involved, trying to sort of trick Medusa into looking into the mirror or whatever it was. That stands out to me as the first thing I will always recollect with that film. The pacing of it, I think maybe I remember it being longer of a scene than it actually was, but I guess because it resonates so much with me that I remember it in sort of a slower time frame. But that's definitely hands down my favorite scene in the entire film.
Okay, Beefhead.
If I had to pick favourite scenes, I think it's the Stygian Witches. That is superbly done. And yeah, I think, yeah, like Johnny said, the iconic part where he comes out after he's actually got the Medusa head, and the finale with the Kraken. Those are really standout moments for me that stay with me to this very day, no matter how many times I've watched it.
Yeah, and the Stygian Witches, played by Flora Robinson, Anna Mahan, and Frida Jackson. Right there, 3 well-established actresses. Boom. Right in the middle of just a short scene in this movie. It was just so high caliber. So I love about this flick. Okay, favorite. All right, you said BJ, your favorite parts were the Bubo the Owl.
Well, yeah. I mean, favorite scenes. Well, favorite scenes with the owl. Yeah, but my most favorite favorite part within the movie would be the fight between the like towards the end, like where he's trying to get the Medusa's head and everything. Like he's using a shield to see like where it is until he could cut the head off and everything. I think that scene is my favorite within the film.
Alrighty. What about you, William?
Well, it's like when it comes to my favorite scenes, the special effects wise, that by Harryhausen is of course Medusa, the Kraken, and the fights with the scorpions, the 3 scorpions. When it comes to the scenes with just humans together, the scenes of Mount Olympus with Zeus and the other gods talking among each other, that stood out. The Andromeda's mom mistakenly dissing this god, and the statue broke her head off. That stood out. I mean, also the even though some of the scenes was by Ray Harryhausen, the scene with Calibos with the actor and makeup, that was real good. That stood out too.
Yeah, originally Calibos was not even supposed to have any lines in the movie at all. He was just going to be an animated character, and then they went back later and they rewrote it so that way they could have give him a little bit way to tell a little bit of backstory and also add some other stuff in. And of course, Calibos, played by Neil McCarthy, who we know from Doctor Who. One of his key roles in there was in Power of Kroll, played Fawn, and also that he was very well known because he had this really, really particular jawline. If you see him on screen or anything like that, it's really, really obvious. He's like, really built up face. Alrighty. Let's go on to favorite characters. There were a lot of characters in this movie, a lot of different people involved in it. Let's go ahead. Let's start with you, William. Let's go back the other way around. What was your favorite characters in this flick?
Well, the character-wise, I would say, of course, Perseus stood out. Because we see him as a son of Zeus. Ammon, played by Burgess Meredith, I like he stood out because he was able to teach Perseus some things, and he realized where they could, that he heard about the 3 witches and all that. He helped a lot. Another who stood out was, even though if you time all his scenes, but he stood out was Calibos. Because in the beginning, you find out he killed almost all of Zeus's wing horses. That's why he was transformed. He had the princess doing that little thing that anybody who tried to shoot her would get killed. They couldn't solve the riddle. And then again, him stabbing up the bag with Medusa's head and causing the scorpions to arrive. So he stood out.
Okay, Beefhead, favorite characters.
Yeah, if I had to say, like Will said, Calibos. Neil McCarthy is brilliant. He's got a fantastic voice, apart from being having a very pronounced facial appearance, which lends itself to the makeup. He's got a fantastic voice, and he really comes across as evil and conspiratory. So from that point of view, it's fantastic. I think Burgess Meredith's character is excellent as well. He would act like the chorus would do in sort of the Greek plays of old. So he would be the exponent, the storyteller. So he was a brilliant way of using him as plot development within the story. And for me as well, the scenes with the gods as well, because they are not likable characters. I think that lends itself to the writing, that basically the human world, they are playthings for them. They're the way that all the models are put into a mini amphitheatre, in essence, it is like a play. So certainly the gods, the principal gods, I don't think Ursula just really counts because she got one line, but certainly Laurence Olivier, I think, has got to get some props for this as well. along with Maggie Smith as well, because she's thoroughly unlikable all the way through.
I know Laurence Olivier. I had no idea that both Laurence Olivier and Burgess Meredith were like 74 years old at the time of the making of this film, and that to me is just incredible. Plus, Harryhausen brought up in the documentary that he was rather ill with something at the time of the making of the movie, yet he just powered right on through it. So yeah, I really loved Laurence Olivier in this flick as Zeus. I thought he had a really commanding presence, was suited for the role perfectly. All right. What about you, Johnny Blues? Favorite characters?
For me, Perseus always stands out, kind of the archetypal hero. And I just felt like he was portrayed with a really human and, I guess, it's kind of ironic to say a realistic sort of approach to the character, being that it's, based on mythology. But he always struck a chord with me in the similar sort of, like the Superman and the Lion, things I was growing up with when I first encountered the film. Definitely to echo everybody else, Burgess loved him. I don't think there's anybody I had an issue with as far as like not liking or not being impressed with in this film. And of course, I remember crushing on the princess, of course, Judy Fokker, I think was her name.
Yeah.
One of my early crushes in life and everything. So Perseus would probably be my number one pick for character that struck me the most in this film.
Okay, Harry.
For me, it's hard to choose a real one favorite character because all the characters just seem to work so well together in this movie. It's basically put the egos aside, let's do the job and do it right. I mean, as far as human characters, I had to go with Perseus and Burgess Meredith's character. As far as the gods, I'd go with Laurence Olivier and Athena. I mean, those were the ones that, to me, they stood out the most, but still, all the characters just worked so well together. It was no real desire to cause problems. Let's do the job, let's do it well, and make sure this thing goes over without a hitch.
All righty. BJ, what were your favorite characters in the movie?
I would say the main character, the hero of the story.
Oh, Perseus?
Yeah.
Okay, what'd you like about him? Just the fact he was a really cool guy. Yeah, Harry Hamlin, he was really good in this movie. I got to agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I just everything about him and everything I seemed to enjoy and liked about his character. So.
Okay.
And the villain, the character that he cut off the hand, he was really creepy. I found him really, really creepy.
Yep, Calibos. Yeah. The scary part is, in order to make the Calibos animated figure, they cannibalized the troglodyte from the Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. That's how they made it. They just simply added a tail onto him and put a new head on him. So if that's why he looked a little familiar, that's the poor Trog, man. Okay. Anybody else want to touch on any other aspects of the film? I'm going to leave the floor open.
Well, you got to give Mr. Hamlin credit because he was dating the actress that was playing Aphrodite, and they had a kid right after that.
Ooh, Ursula Andress?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Wow.
Yeah, in the book.
Yeah, she starred in the first Bond film, if I remember right. Was it Dr. No?
Dr. No, yeah.
Yeah. So she was pretty well known.
Also, the scene with this lady tied up to the rocks for the Kraken, and it was originally written that she was supposed to be naked. I know because that was to show that she was still a virgin. Of course, the ratings didn't like that, so they had to put clothes on her.
Yeah, show all the back and side boob you want, but do not show any full frontal in this movie, or we're going to come down on you. That's pretty much the attitude of the 80s back then with censorship. Oh, man, nowadays you can have everybody running around half naked and get a PG-13. And it's as long as they aren't doing anything, that then you can pretty much get a PG-13 these days. Okay, any other aspects of the film anyone want to touch on, or anything else that you thought stood out?
I thought Sallow was good. Sorry, Will, go on.
No, go ahead, Beefhead, go ahead.
No, I thought Sallow was good, to be honest with you, for what you would expect to be a secondary character. And in essence, he's like a grunt soldier. When Perseus first arrives in the city, and he's there, and he can see the bodies of the suitors that failed burning. So there are some real dark aspects to it. He's there talking about the smell and the filth and how the town's really gone to hell as a result of the curse. He's really I think he does tend to get lost in it, but he's a really strong character and comes across really good in it. And he's got fantastic perm.
Yeah, Tim Pigott-Smith, who also was in Doctor Who. He was in both Claws of Axos and The Mask of Mandragora. He bounced around quite a bit in the industry. If you go look up his particular, file, he was in, he worked in radio, worked on stage, worked on film and television. Plus, I kind of liked the character. What was his name? Thallow? Was something like that. It was Thallow. Yeah, I always get his pronunciation wrong. I don't know why. But yeah, I thought he was, pretty much as big a character as the others in this flick, because he's the one who's telling, Perseus what the heck's going on when he first arrives. But of course, we tragically lose him to a scorpion by the end of the film. But well. Okay, I just love this movie. It was basically the end of an era. Star Wars had come out a few years earlier. Industrial Light and Magic was well. Several other industries had began to adopt blue screen and whatnot. And also they went from hand animation to mechanical, where, if I remember right in the documentary, they described whereas you had Ray Harryhausen doing one scene that would take several months. Suddenly you had this machine that was run by like 81 guys who could accomplish the same thing in a shorter amount of time, and that's basically the way it went. And it's kind of sad, though, because what I loved most about Harryhausen and his movies is the fact that each one of the stop-motion characters had just as much presence on screen as the living actors. Especially, as you guys brought up, the Medusa scene. That Medusa has got to be one of the best special effects characters I've ever seen in any movie, up to now. He said in a documentary that normally you'd have just this, really pretty-looking actress running around on set with a bunch of rubber snakes attached to her head. Meanwhile, every time she moves or every time she walks, every single little rubber snake on her head is bouncing up and down in unison. And you're supposed to say, okay, wow, that must be living snakes. He didn't like it, and that's why he decided to go stop motion on the character. And, of course, the actual body model was built by someone else, and then he added on to it, and then, of course, he animated it itself. But it's just, this guy was a force of nature. He's such an incredible movie maker, such an incredible effects artist, and I don't know if we're ever going to see anybody like that again who can bring inanimate objects to life on screen the same way. Okay, anyone else want to add anything before we go ahead and rate this sucker?
Yeah, one of the that scene with Medusa, it was originally written that Perseus threw his shield at her and chopped her head off with it. But then, when they looked at it, I said, this is not right, because he received a sword that could cut through rock like nothing. So they'd rather do it that way. And the only little nitpick I have with the movie is the mistake of Burgess Meredith's character explaining her origin, that Medusa supposedly had an affair with Poseidon in the temple of Aphrodite and got punished for that. That's not how it happened. In the mythology is she was a priestess in Athena's thing, and she was raped by Poseidon. And instead of Athena punishing her uncle for doing that, she punished Medusa for being a victim of rape and changed it to Medusa
Yeah, they did change a few things here and there to simplify it a bit. Like originally, the creature that's coming for what was her name? How can I forget her name? And I just thought,
Andromeda.
Yeah, coming for Andromeda. Why do I always forget her name? Oh well, played by.
You mean the Vulture?
But originally, the name of that character was the Leviathan, and they decided to go with the Kraken, which was far more menacing, but the term Kraken didn't come around until like the 18th or 19th century. if I remember right. It was meant to describe another kind of creature in a whole other thing, but they thought, hey, it's mean, it's mysterious. It sounded good. I think it worked well. I'm not complaining. I thought it was a good choice of name. Plus, originally the Kraken's supposed to be like this, or Leviathan's like this squid-like thing and all that. And it was Harryhausen's decision to say, look, I got a better idea. Let's go with this creature, the big thing with 4 arms. And I thought it was incredible. I love the Kraken in this movie too, man. It's like, release the Kraken! Right. Just didn't work as well in the 2010 movie. I didn't like the Kraken in that movie as much as I love the one in this one. I don't know, maybe if I'm just being sentimental or the fact that I just thought the Kraken was more kick-ass in the 81 movie.
You don't know what happened to that big model they made for the sea scenes? What happened to it?
I thought it wound up in the Berlin Museum, didn't it?
Well, Beefhead lives. You went to that museum?
No. Germany. My father may go at one point, so he may see it.
I thought the Ray Harryhausen Museum was in London.
Yeah, no, a lot of its stuff wound up in the Berlin Museum, but yeah, there's some stuff in the Harryhausen Museum as well. But some of it wound up in the Berlin Museum. I don't know why. They were talking about it in the documentary. But be sure to look this stuff up. It's incredible when you see what they had to work with. He was also doing the documentary with Tim Burton, and he was like talking about Earth versus the flying saucers. One of the actual model saucers was like no bigger than this, and yet you see it on film. It's like, oh my God, there's this big massive thing coming at you.
I think Maggie Smith was also married to Beverly Cross, who did the screenplay as well.
Oh yeah, Maggie Smith. Heck, she's been everywhere, hasn't she, man?
She was instrumental, because that's the thing. If you look at this, you would not expect someone like Laurence Olivier to be attached to a film like this, and she was instrumental in getting him on board to do it. I mean, yeah, I suppose if you think about the big films that were around of that era as well, you would have someone like Brando in Superman or Alec Guinness to Star Wars. It added a level of credence having sort of like a big actor of that sort, and you can hear the sort of echoes in how the voice is done with it. It's very of the time, but it is such a fantastically well written story. You're willing to suspend disbelief. I think certainly with Bubo. Yeah. You've got to remember, this is an owl made out of metal. How the hell does it with those tiny wings get off the ground? Because it's metal's not, gold's not light metal anyway. But yeah, it's superb. It really is. Yeah,
Maggie Smith, who went on to be, I believe it was Mrs. McGonagall in the Harry Potter movies.
Yep.
And then we also know her now for very well known in Downton Abbey. Very popular in that now. If I remember right, she had already had like 4 Academy Awards before she even set foot on the set of this movie. And then she's bringing in Laurence Olivier. I think he already had 2 Academy Awards. And it's like this whole cast, when you read their background before 1981, before they even set foot on this movie, I'm sitting there wondering, how the hell did they get all these people together? This is just one very powerful cast. And
it had a big budget, but it didn't make his money back.
Well, it was filmed at a budget of $15 million, and it pulled in $41 million in the U.S. alone. So that don't even include international sales. So they pretty much tripled their money on this movie, on what they spent to make it. Hey, go ahead, BJ. You have something to add?
That was Professor McGonagall from Harry Potter.
Yeah, Maggie Smith,
a lot younger, yeah.
The goddess of the sea in this one, who picks up Perseus and sticks him halfway across the world because she don't like the fact her son got his hand cut off. Yeah, that's her. She played McGonagall in Harry Potter.
Oh, she looked familiar.
Yeah. A lot of very familiar faces in this movie if you look. Go back and look over their names, and you're going to see them pop up all over British film, television.
Yeah, Flora Robson was iconic for years as Elizabeth I in cinema. Claire Bloom, who's obviously another Doctor Who alumni. Mm-hmm. She was in Richard III with Laurence Olivier anyway, so they had experience of playing a couple on screen previously.
Oh, that's right. She was the quote-unquote woman.
Yep.
The last David Tennant story. That's right. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. That was Claire Bloom, who was supposed to be originally scripted to be the quote-unquote doctor's mother, but then RTD changed it and made her the woman. Okay, so like I said, go back if you get a chance, and if you're watching this now, well, very few of you are. Look up the names on this movie, sit down, watch it, enjoy it. I can sit down to this day. Matter of fact, I watched this movie like 3 times this week, and I still enjoy it each time I watch it. especially that Medusa scene. That Medusa scene still rocks. I think just that short little Medusa scene beats the crap out of the 2010 Clash of the Titans film altogether. Okay, anything else anyone want to add before we hop off?
I forgot. He had Mr. Harryhausen had another movie planned after this one. I forgot, it was called Force of the Trojans.
Yeah.
But but due to the not the studio didn't want him to do the effects by himself no more. And of course, the money raising night, and of course, Star Wars being such a success, that's when he decided to retire.
Yeah. Also, if you get a chance, when you sit down and just look at the names of all the directors who were influenced by this guy, James Cameron, I believe it was Lucas, I think even Spielberg, and all these guys grew up watching this guy's movies, and now, boom, that's his legacy to the world, man. You can't top that. Okay, let's go ahead and rate it, and we'll put it away. All right, Harry, out of 10, how do you rate Clash of the Titans?
This is a 10. This is a 10, sir.
All righty, Johnny Blues.
Definitely a 10 for me as well.
All right, Beefhead.
It's got to be a 10. It works on a classical level. It works on a contemporary level. Writing is superb. The allegory is brilliant. The acting is top notch. The only thing the only character that did get on my nerves, if anyone, was Andromeda. To be honest with you, because she just seemed completely superficial. Yeah, Calibos would say, "Oh, remember me how I used to." She'd stroke his face and pull away. So and then when she was talking to Perseus, oh yeah, he was intelligent, he was beautiful, he was witty, but I was very young at the time, and stomps her feet when she doesn't get her own way. If anything, she's the only dislikable character in this, as much as Calibos. But I've got to really give props to Neil McCarthy. He makes that movie more than Perseus, I would say.
All right, so out of 10, definitely a 10.
Yeah, all the way.
Yeah, I kind of dislike that scene too, and it's like he was so young, and I was so young, and he was so fantastic, but I'm over it. I'm over him. Oh, okay, William, do I have to ask?
This movie gets a 10. It's a shame that was his last movie. I wish he could have done at least one or two more. But he left a great legacy for everybody to watch. As I said before, this is one of his movies that I will always keep watching over and over again. I will never get bored with it. I will never get tired of it, and I will never hate it. That's why I'm glad I met him and got the book about his life.
Okay, BJ, out of 10.
I am going to give this movie a 6.
Okay, we have one dissenter this week. Wow. That's kind of refreshing, though, because we've been going 10 out of 10 on a lot of these. But, yeah, it's your honest opinion, man. I ain't going to knock you for it. Also, one last prop, and I can't believe I forgot to mention this, the soundtrack.
Yeah.
The music was incredible by Lawrence Rosenthal. And they brought that up in the documentary I just watched this morning. He did a really fantastic job with the music, going right along with the movie. Incredible stuff by him. I got to give him props, too. Okay, guys. Well, next week we're going to do the very first major motion picture, that Harryhausen did with his one partner. And that's going to be The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Following that, we're going to go into the John Carpenter movies. I'm still working on what order we're going to go in with that. So I'll announce it by next weekend which movie we're going to start with. But until then, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care, and we'll see you all later.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Look out for cannibal witches.